What is up, and welcome back to another episode of So There's That. I'm your hostess, doing the mostest, Kibashi, and we are here with season 4, episode 2 of From, titled Fray. We about to get into it. Y'all were so active last week on Twitter. I had made a tweet in here, okay? Made a tweet. And it was like, Ethan, is that dead? Tabitha, no. And all of the fans being like, okay. Yes, okay. That's all I'm gonna say about that because we're about to get into it, okay? Now, y'all know I love words. And if you're new here, I am a words girl. I'm a vocabulary girl. I love reading. I am a words of affirmations person. Words means things, okay? And oftentimes, depending on the show, particularly with this show, I like to give the definitions of things because From puts everything in plain sight to include the title of the episode. And a lot of times, the title is not necessarily an action or something that you will see on the screen versus something that is happening like inherently, or it has like multiple meanings. So what does the word fray mean? A fray is a noisy fight, quarrel, or a heated competition or battle. It can also mean to unravel or wear away at the edges of fabric. As a verb, it refers to fabric wearing thin or nerves becoming strained. So, in this episode, it means all of those things. One, the heated competition and battle, the fighting, it's the humans versus the monsters. Then you have, unravel or wear away at the edges of fabric. That motel sign, the rope, and, the peeling everything back. And then, of course, nerves becoming strained. Babes, everybody is on edge. And I just love how they title things and they use words and definitions and meanings to like the maximum extent of their definitions within the English language. So getting into the episode, I don't even have y'all, BRB. Ciao, I'm back. So as you can see, okay, why y'all didn't tell me I was lacking? This episode was directed by Jack Bender. The writers are John Griffin and Jeff Pinkner, and the cinematographer is Christopher Ball. So let's go ahead and tap into this episode. So obviously we're opening up with previously on. Again, previouslys are gonna clue you into who to focus on, who to hyper focus on in the episode, even though like everything in the episode means something. So we focused on Julie and Randall at the ruins when we learned that Julie was a story walker. We also saw in the previouslys of Miranda telling Jim about her and Jade trying to save their kids and how they keep coming back because they never saved them. And that was the reveal that Tabitha is Miranda and Jade is Christopher. The new car comes into town, Jesus Christ, and it was the priest with his daughter, and Danny was crashing out on Boyd previously. I mean, when is she not crashing out on Boyd? Okay, so in the now of things, so Kenny is waking up from, falling asleep at his post, and he's walking around, he's looking around, and he don't see Sophia. Then he hears like this whimpering noise, and Sophia is outside, door wide open, just standing there crying, just in the middle of whatever. So Kenny's like, girl, if you don't get your ass back in here. So the monsters are coming up, and something I want to make note of, which was mentioned in the previous seasons, was like, and I think Kenny is the one who said it, notice how they never run because they know we have nowhere to go. And so they're coming out and they're just walking up, still doing their own normal patterns or whatever. And Kenny snatches Sophia back in and he is going off like, girl, I done told you. And you said you understood. But in the middle of all of this, she's like, he's dead. And, you know, Marielle is woken up from all of the ruckus or whatever. And, you know, again, Sophia's like, you know, her dad is dead. So Marielle is running over and she's like, what? How? And parking right here, putting a little push pin in the things. The last time somebody came into town and was on track to make a complete full recovery and then died mysteriously was Jade's friend when Jade came into town. And that was when Sara was told by the monsters to go in there, kill him, and leave the door open, and then all hell broke loose. So I am wondering if Marielle is, ooh, does she know? That's the thing about this series, and I said that in episode 1, like, the audience knows more than they know, and so you're just sitting there like, put the pieces together, but they literally don't have the pieces. But for us, the last time that happened was at them 96 days, and Megan died, her mama died, and here comes Jade, and now Jade's friend dies, even though all he was doing was recovering from like a car crash and excessive drug use or whatever. Oh my God. Oh my God, I just had this thought. So y'all know, like, in the first episode, they talked about, like, Ethan having the seizures, Sara having the seizures, Elgin having the seizures, this priest having a seizure. Did they say, well, Jade wouldn't have known, so they wouldn't have known. If the reason for the car accident when Jade came into town is because Jade's best friend and business partner had a seizure. Oh my God. Okay. That's literally not in my notes. I'm just thinking about this. Like, oh my God. Okay. So, back at the colony house, right? Elgin comes out of the room and Boyd is waiting on him. And Elgin, you know, he only got one eye, so periphery is just, you know, it's down 50%. And then he sees Boyd, and he's like, Boyd. And I'm like, what are you saying like that? Like, he's trying to be polite, but he's so scared. But it's like, I have nowhere else to go, so I can't avoid you. And Boyd is like, Elgin, why don't you go get back in the room? And I'm like, Elgin, run down the stairs, my dude. Like, just go do something else. But Elgin, you know, he reluctantly goes back into the room. And Boyd is like, okay, if you tell anybody what actually happened, I'm gonna tell them what you did. And, you know, Elgin is processing the information and he's just like, okay, well, the truth is gonna come out eventually. Like, people are gonna ask questions. I really can't lie that well. And Boyd is just like, you know, if you say that, I'll tell them that you killed Tilly on top of kidnapping Fatima. Like, so we can go bar for bar, blow for blow. Like, what do you want this to be? And Boyd even says, you know, if you don't listen to me and if you don't follow my rules, I'll also put you in the box. Now, the same way as in season 3 when Boyd was, you know, slamming all the tools around and I'm going to torture you and I'm going to do all of that. And Sara had to come in and be like, Boyd is not going to do what needs to be done. I'm like, Boyd, this is like the second empty threat for real. Like, yeah, you smashed his hands or whatever, but you didn't really do any real damage. You didn't do anything that you would not have done when you were in the service. But when it comes to genuinely, like, harming people, you're not going to do that. You didn't even put Frank in the box. Frank put himself in the box. So I find myself mentally going back to Boyd. You really need to be careful with the way that you utilize threats. It was unraveling when you first was going head to head with Danny last season. Like, there's no control here. And because the threats are coming so frequently and so freely, they're realizing, like, you really not gonna do nothing. And so the more you keep doing that, the more they're gonna test you and test your gangster. So you're either gonna make do on them or you're going to find another way to get people on your side. Because we're losing them, okay? And Elgin is one of those people that we're losing. He has a little bit of fear because he was moving in secret, so his own lies are working against him right now. But we know what's up. Boy, you ain't gonna do nothing. So Back at the diner, right? The jukebox is waking Danny up with the song Good Morning by the Beatles. And so at this point, it's like a little montage, right? But here are the first lyrics. Nothing to do to save his life. Call his wife in. Nothing to say but what a day. How's your boy been? These lyrics in this song is telling you exactly what this episode is going to be about. And like, as the verse and stuff is still going, it says something about all your friends lay dead in the street. And remember in season 1, when Sarah's brother died and then the cicadas and stuff started coming out, it was like, yeah, season 1 or season 2. And she was like, this place absorbs the lives of the people and their fears become a part of like the forest. And so it's like a literal sense of like your friends is laying dead in the street, but also like their presence of everybody who died is out there in this land somewhere. And their ability to just choose perfect songs, the music supervisor, shout out to you. Shout out to you. So we got this bright ass music with these foreshadowing lyrics and everybody's just kind of getting up. And, you know, boy goes outside, he's stretching his legs and, you know, we're starting the day. And he's like, something ain't right. Goes back in the house, gets some binoculars, and, you know, he sees something out in the distance and he's like, what the? Cues the intro music. Okay. So we're here. We're at the Hotel Motel Holiday Inn sign. And, you know, it's no vacancy and all of these other things. And there is a sack dripping blood hanging from up there. So, of course, everybody outside, right? Tabitha and the kids come out and it's just like heart stop, hold your breath. Oh my God. Because again, Jim is not back, y'all. Jim is not back. So, you know, Ethan's like, oh my God, like, is that dad? Like, you know, Ethan, Julie, everybody's freaking out. And Tabitha's like, Julie, go take Ethan to the barn. Go look at all his animal friends. You know, play your real world Animal Crossing. Like, we will figure this out. So Tab is there and Jade and Boyd lower it down and it is just not looking good for my mans. Now, Tabitha ends up walking over and I was like, you know what? This is one of the most courageous things. And again, words mean things. So quick plug here. Bravery and courage. Brave is doing something with the absence of fear. Courage is doing something in spite of your fears. And knowing that she believes this is her husband and walking over there and choosing to be the one to open it up, I was just like, girl. Oh my God, like the anxiety that you feel in that moment. So while they're doing this, Ethan and Julie are walking over to the barn and Ethan's, you know, asking all his childlike questions and Julie ain't got nothing for him. She's like, listen, he your daddy, he my daddy too. You scared? You think he did? I think he did too. I got nothing for you, my dude. Like at this point, I'm your sister and I'm not your mom. And, you know, Tabitha opens it and they see that it's the goat. The same goat that Randall was gonna kill when everything was going down. And it's Ethan's like BFF in there. So there's like a temporary sense of relief when Jade, Boyd, Tabitha, Danny, and all of them are like, okay, it's just an animal. When all of a sudden, Julie and Ethan open up that barn and they are the ones to discover Jim hanging from the rafters. Going back to that music line. Nothing to say but what a day. How's your boy been? Your boy as in slang, as in how's Jim been? Your boy as in Ethan, how's he been? Because they're the ones finding them. And so it's like, oh my God, the monsters are so fucked up. This had to be, out of all 4 seasons, oh my God, like, oh my God, this is, okay. Boyd had to shoot his wife in front of his own child. Tabitha and them were sent on a false goose chase just for their own kids to find their father dead. This is crazy. This is crazy. Like, I said in my written review, this season reminds me of season 1 so much, in like the audacity, the things that keep you flabbergasted in the way that they are just going there and taking it there out of the gate. And for all of y'all that was in them comments, Jim is not dead. No, he's not. I don't believe it. Yeah, so Jim is dead. And regardless of any theories or like what timelines or when or where or whatever, in the now, in the today of things that they are existing, he not here no more. And Tabitha's sobs, oh my God, y'all know I cannot stand this family. You know I cannot stand this family. But Tabitha, oh my God, like the wreckage that was going through her. And honestly, I feel like that was also a part of a guilt too, because you didn't go look for him. You didn't ask anyone to go look for him. You told your kids that he's fine and maybe he didn't know it was getting dark, even though the sky is getting dark. You did nothing. At least when you were gone, he went out on a suicide mission to go find you. You did nothing. And now your children had to see your husband dead. It's a lot of guilt in those sobs. Whew, crazy. So Ethan, at this point, he crashing out. He in the house breaking stuff, and you know, he's blaming his mom, as he should, to be honest. I'm not even gonna hold you, because what did you do? What did you say? And she's like, you know, we didn't fight this time. We didn't fight. And even Julie saying it doesn't matter, because all he's known since Thomas died is your fighting. All she's known is that y'all are headed for a divorce, and you've been fighting ever since you got here. Last season you was fighting and the monsters were screaming, shut the hell up. So like, what do you expect him to do? What do you expect him to believe? There's nothing that you can do in this moment except take these L's. Take them on the chin bag. So Boyd and Ellis and Jade, they take Jim to the church, and you know, Boyd is like, what does knowledge comes at a cost even mean? And Jade looks up and he's like, yeah, we need to talk. So Jade goes and he's explaining on Cooey and the kids to Boyd. And honestly, they're like lost, but it's feeling plausible at this point, because up until now, nothing else makes sense. And knowing that Jim was there too when that revelation came, and now Jim is the one to die because of this revelation, it's like, okay, things are kind of clicking. So Kenny, you know, they were back at the hospital or whatever with Sara, and you know, nobody really knows that the priest died except them. So you know, he's taking Sophia out on a walk. He's like, listen, your dad just died, let's just get you out of here. And on this walk, I keep saying Sara and Sophia, and I keep interchanging their names. These S names is gonna be the death of me. But on this walk, he finds Sara, and he's like, what's up? And Sarah's like, you know, Jim is dead. So Sara is standing there, and Sophia is standing right there listening to this news. And Kenny's like, okay, we're gonna have to abort this mission. And Sophia's like, but I thought you said we were gonna go get glasses. Girl, your father just died, somebody else is dead, and you over here talking about glasses? So Sarah's like, listen, I'll take her. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is the last person that this girl needs to be around, because they have been messing with Sara non-stop. stop. And this is like opening up the gate and the connection for Sara to mess with Sophia and to pull Sophia back into the web of all of this craziness in an instant. And I'm just like, oh my God. Oh my God, the Collins was coming from inside of the house. This is terrible for them. This is god awful. So, this is crazy. So Sara, you know, takes Sophia and she heads to the diner because everything is underneath or whatever. And she walking in and Danny is looking frazzled. So Sarah's like, are you cool? And she was like, don't talk to me like we're friends. Okay, girl. I was just trying to offer you like some kindness, but you know, go crazy on your own. Like, okay. And so Sara and Sophia go on about their business. Now, back at the house, Julie is sitting basically in a catatonic state and Ethan is asleep when she decides to do the only thing that she can do based on the little bit of knowledge that she has, and that is to go back to the ruins. And this is one of those things that's a double-edged sword because it's like, you don't know what to do, and so it's kind of a stupid plan. But you know that you can go back. And so it's like, okay, what knowledge can I glean from this? And so I kind of like that the message is knowledge comes at a cost. And Julie's like, okay, well, if it's going to cost us anyway, then I'm going to go get as much knowledge as I can. So there's a little bit of defiance here that I like that she's leaning into. So back in the barn, Jade finds Tabitha and she's trying to scrub the mess from the wall. And he's like, Tab, I know you don't want to talk about this right now. And the timing of this is not great. But this shit is real. If nothing else tells you that this is real, this is it. And this is a moment where between Jade and Tabitha, he is a bit insensitive, but she is a bit like, what's the word I'm looking for? Unreasonable, I would say. And she's like, what did she tell him? It should have been you hanging from the fucking rafter. And she called his violin playing stupid. Like, ma'am, what are we doing? What are we talking about? Everything that has been happening to you is pointing to a reality that you refuse to acknowledge, that you refuse to talk about. What are we doing here, girl? What? She pissing me off, man. She had me all over the place, okay? I was on like a yo-yo hate train with this lady, pissing me off. Meanwhile, Danny goes and steals the ambulance. And Christy hops in there because she's on her save her whole bullshit. And I just could not believe that the two most insufferable characters ended up being in the scene together. I said, oh my God. Oh my God. It's like Big Mouth. Oh my God. That's how I feel about them. Like, they make me whine so bad. I cannot stand them. So Marielle goes in and she goes to Boyd and Kenny as Boyd is telling him like, no, like Jade might got a point with this one. We might be on to something. And she's running in. She's like, Daddy done stole the ambulance. Y'all, this bitch is crazy. So while they're out there not getting a single chance to breathe or do anything, in the basement of the diner, Sophia is trying on glasses and she's like, oh man, like I wonder like who these belong to. Like, okay. And then she sees the little ballerina thing. They go, remember that little music box, the little ballerina, and Boyd having to save her ass from the cellar. So, you know, Sophia stops here and is kind of cocking her head to the side. And so it's like, okay, Sophia has like these crazy powers. Are there still things in their possession that they don't know yet that can still alter the course of this war that's going on between the humans and the monsters? And so it's Sophia's curiosity, like, I wonder if they figured out what this means, or is this a new development in this version's massacre that the man in yellow is like, how did they get this? You know what I mean? So the curiosity there also has me wondering, because I just feel like they've never gotten this far before. And like Boyd was saying in the previous seasons, like, they know we are close, and therefore they're trying to stop us at all costs, right? And so that moment just made me think, is this thing supposed to be here in this timeline, right? So Donna is there on babysitting duty when she sees the ambulance careening around, and she's running out of the house like, what the fuck is even going on? So all of these things is going on, and this distraction helps Ethan sneak out of the house because, you know, Ethan is going to Ethan, okay? He's out of here, okay? And Danny is still disillusioned by everything, and she thinks that she can leave. And Christy's like, girl, you think you got a new idea? We all had new ideas. You're not going anywhere. And she's just like, I don't deserve this, and I'm just such a good person, and yada yada yada. Like, she's still on her I'm a good girl bullshit. And they end up seeing Ethan during this thing. And Christy's like, okay, girl, stop for Ethan. She's like, oh, no, he gonna be cool. He gonna be cool. And she's like, he is a child. His father just died. I thought you just said that you was a good person. So, you know, the hypocrisy of the things are unraveling in this ambulance little whatever with Danny and Christy. But Tabitha is over there with Jim, and she has so much regret. And she says, you were my everything, and I'm so sorry you didn't know that. Girl, we didn't know that either. Yeah. So while she's full of regret and tears and just trying to come to terms with everything, Julie went over to Randall and was like, hey, we're going back. And Randall's like, pourquoi? Because the last time I went over there with you, we were not having a good time. We were not having a good time. And she's like, it's the only thing that I know how to do. So vamonos. So they go to the ruins, and Julie does a good thing because, again, Mario, Julie, and Randall were the three trapped in that little area where the ruins were. So she sends Randall in first, and she's like, okay, I just want to make sure that you ain't gonna get heated so that when I go in, because I know I can go in, you can pull me out. Y'all, as soon as she walked in, I started screaming, abort! Abort, girl, abort. So she goes inside, and it lands on the night that their camper crashed. So she's out there, she's calling for her dad, she's trying to warn them and do all these things. And it was a scene when the monsters started coming towards the camper at night. And Boyd's like, you know, get y'all asses back up in here, you know, let's do the thing. And that was when Donna had went out with Tabitha that night too, and with the kids to try to get to Colony House. And so she was out there, and a monster yanks her by her hair and was like, let's play a game, little girl. And as Julie is about to get her like snuffed out, Randall yanked her back. And I literally was like, y'all, do you remember in season 1 when Tab, Julie, Donna came to the door, and that monster in the Letterman's jacket came up and was like, hey, Julie, don't you remember me? And Julie's looking at it, and she's kind of lost. And we were all like, is this like a high school boyfriend? Bitch, it's because they saw her in the woods at this moment in time, trying to warn them. Like, oh my God. This is crazy. I don't want to hear nothing else about y'all being like, we don't get any answers. We don't know what's going on. 2 episodes in, we're getting all the answers. We're getting the things. And honestly, I'm kind of scared of the rest of the things that's going to come, because Sophia is there. The enemy is among you. And all this time we're like, share information. And now I'm just like, keep these secrets, y'all. Keep these secrets. So Danny is still doing her thing. All of these things are happening. I'm stressed out. They're stressed out. And they throw the spikes out. Boyd's like, we ain't got time for this. She is spiraling too crazy. And so she ends up crashing or whatever. And Boyd yanks her out that car. And he's like, what did he say? Get the fuck out. because we have had so many F-bombs and it's only been 2 episodes. But Christy is like, Boyd. And this is the one time where Christy's interruption don't piss me off, because she wasn't necessarily stopping him from going off on Danny. She's like, Ethan is out there in this fucking woods by himself. Like, we need to divert, okay? So Ethan is back at the camper and he's collecting, things. He wants to be close to his dad. And when he goes out of the camper, Jim is right there. And I said, oh my God, what the fuck is going on? And so this moment, though, Ethan has such a connection with this place. He always has. That his response to seeing his father, immediately you could tell like it was a moment for Ethan to say goodbye, because it wasn't so much as, Dad, oh my God, I knew you weren't dead, as it was, Dad, what is your final thing that you need to say to me? Like, it felt like a moment of acceptance for Ethan with this message that Jim delivered. And, Jim is like, you remember that dream that you had when we first got here? And Ethan's like, yeah, the Lake of Tears. And Jim is like, it's here and I need you to find it. And in this moment, I'm like, is this malicious? Or is this like a moment when Abby was helping Boyd get closer to the truth? And I had this thought because if you go back to when I said in the last episode about Elgin's, psychological abuse from this place, where it started off like trying to drown him and do all these things. And all of a sudden it was like, help us, you can save us. And so it's like, is Jim presenting in this moment, not in a malicious form, but in the way that a child would welcome them in to get their help, by using love as the thing to get him to comply. So at this point, Tab already knew he was missing. We knew he was out and about, and she's thinking to herself, okay, where would my son actually go? So she's going back there. She goes back to the camper and she sees him, and Ethan says, I just saw Dad. So there's that, guys. Let's get into these thoughts. Okay, so first off, the first thought that we want to go into, I ran a Twitter poll and I asked everybody, and you'll see here, did you see the Sophia reveal coming? And the majority of people said no. So the final poll was 57% of the people said they didn't see it coming. But there was one person in the comments who ended up commenting on something that I noticed in the first episode, but I didn't want to speak about. Like, there's certain things that I noticed or that I know that I'm just not going to bring up in these things. And it is, if I can find it, I have so many screenshots. And the answer is, this person, a true Virgo on Twitter, said no, so they didn't see it coming, but her screams and over dramatization was over the top till it made me think something ain't right. Because why she's saying the priest was her dad? A priest? And then calling for her mama, like, girl, what mama? And nobody there caught it. So there are instances where people get into their priesthood ministry calling way later in life. And sometimes they've already had like a family or whatever, right? This happens with nuns and stuff like that too. But in like the Catholic faith, they grow up with this. And so they understand, a lot of them understand their calling at such a very young age. And so one of the things that they give up at a young age is carnal desires. For the most part, right? So my dad they are so focused on the noise, right? And this place keeps them hyper focused on the noise of things that they are not looking at the logic and the shit that don't make no sense right in their faces. A priest with a child and a wife. Kenny is sitting there in her face, and not once is he's like, oh, so like, tell me the backstory of, you know, your dad. You know, most priests don't have kids. Next up, has anybody even gone to the bathroom since Nikki was kicking Fatima out? Because they don't have time to do nothing. Every time you look up, somebody's dying, or something is crashed, or somebody's running away, or somebody's getting caught, or somebody's missing. And I'm just like, wow. And like, they can't breathe. They can't even eat a bite of toast. They can't clip their toenails. They can't go number 2 without something going on. And now I'm just like, oh my God. If they're not going to die from a lack of sleep, they're going to die from just being super packed with crap inside of their bodies. Like, no. This is unfair. This is totally unfair, but I love it. I love it. So remember, Sophia was like, this is the part where they tear each other apart. And in this episode, we're getting a little bit of a glimpse of the tearing apart, but it's not really coming from the people that you would think. Tab, Jade, sure, she's been on this road ever since she came to this town. But Danny, and like the way that her mind is kind of going, it's like, okay, we're starting to see some unraveling in ways that, again, the Fray, in ways that are putting other people in danger. But something that began in this episode that I don't think the town or Sophia is really factoring in is that the information sharing is getting a little bit more. Like with Boyd, getting the information from Jade. Boyd telling Kenny, hey, I think Jade is on to something. Just that moment of like, oh, this is like a thing. And Ethan immediately telling his mom that he saw his dad. It's like, okay, now we're getting into the things of like, shit is getting too crazy. We need to start talking. Where Sophia is thinking Jim's death is going to symbolize them retreating. It appears that this is the catalyst to get them to all come together. So definitely interested to see like how this goes with Sophia still embedded in the camp, watching their every move. So big ups to just From in general. I'm gonna keep saying this. I think they do an incredible job at world building and anxiety and the fears and just like clutching your pearls at every corner. From start to finish of this episode, it was just absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. And they play way too much. They play way too much, y'all. And I love it. From in the town, I feel like, okay, I do think that a lot of the people now are reincarnations of other people then. Not all of them, but some of them. But with that, I think that the town uses people as a means to an end to recreate the cycle of events. So like I said, during the recap portion of this, you know, the last time somebody came into town and died for no reason when, you know, medically they should not have died was Jade's friend. And so now the priest being the thing that got Sophia into like their world in this way, dying. And it's like, oh, you know, thanks for doing what you needed to do. Bye. So then it's like, I said in the season 3 finale, and it's a clip on YouTube, and I'll clip it in here in one of the iCards, where I was asking, who is Jim? If Tabitha is Miranda and Jade is Christopher, that means in every lifetime, Jade and Tabitha are the ones who are supposed to be married. So was Jim just in the way? And he just needed to die to push them back together to work through trying to save these kids again? Or is Jim someone else? And if he is someone else, who of them is he? Because his death has to mean something. Not a single death that has happened has been just because. And that's including the slaughter at the colony house, the person who hung himself, Tilly, all of that. It's like, what do they represent? And you know what I mean? And this is not the questions portion of this, but basically that's the idea behind it. The monsters, again, supernatural chess. That's what they're playing, because that whole scene with the reveal of Jim is so psychotic. It is so psychotic, and I'm trying to think of a show in the last 5 years that has done something like that. I think the last super gagged reveal in a vicious way like that really got me outside of the series was the haunting of Hill House with the crooked Nat lady, gagged to this day. Let's see. Okay, this part, I think it's sad the way that Boyd, Jade, and Donna are always the ones that's left burying people. It's too much. It's too much. And nobody really asks them how they feel, and there's no comfort to them. They don't even really comfort each other. It's like something happens and they're like, okay, we need to figure this out. We need to figure it out. And I'm just wondering when they are going to come at least to each other and just have a moment of okay, we can't break down in front of everybody else, but let's at least break down in front of each other. I just think it's sad that somebody dies and it's just all right, let's put them in the real barrel. Let's get them buried. All right, let's, plan the service. It's kind of unfair. And in terms of the town and the monsters, it's a weight that I think is being purposely applied, because if the leaders break, then all hell will break loose. And so what Christy said was right. She said it at the wrong time, but Christy was right in the sentiment and the intent behind what she was saying. And so it's just how much more can they handle before it's too much? Tabitha taking her messed up marriage out on Jade? Absolutely not. Girl, you may have loved Jim, but at the end of his days, you did not like him. And in a marriage or any type of relationship, when you don't like that person anymore, it's over. It's over. Think about when you like someone. That giddiness, that always wanting to know what makes them happy, always wanting to see them smile. When they are upset, you're invested in trying to find their love language so you can help them figure it out, even if it's your fault, right? And then that grows into love because you learn that you don't want to live without them and you're continuously making a choice to not live without them. But being in a relationship and loving somebody without liking them is the worst relationship possible, because that is when you start being mean and nasty. You start using information from their past as a weapon against them. You start ignoring them. You don't give a shit about what they feel. You don't care if they cry. You don't care if they're scared. And Tabitha, you did not like Jim. You need to face that, and you need to internalize that instead of taking it out on somebody else. And the truth of the matter is, everybody treated Jim better than his wife did. No, they weren't good for each other at the end. But again, when you saw your husband wasn't there, you did not mobilize. He heard that you fell through a tree, and that man went on. He could have died to find you. In the end, he liked you, and you did not like him. And now that he's dead, he'll never know. That's your fault. And you need to sit with that. Nobody else deserves this vitriol and this BS that's coming from you except you. Go look in the mirror, boo. Victor. So Victor in the barn with Henry, these words are triggering something for him. Because he says those words on the wall, it takes everything. And this moment between Victor and Henry, like the amount of power in their performances that Scott McCord and Robert Joy have, it just makes me feel so good. It makes me feel so good that they can take up mere seconds on the screen, and yet their father-son chemistry just steals your heart every single time. And I love that Victor, as a parent, is out parenting everybody. Like, he's going to be with, Victor, Henry is out parenting everybody. Like, he is by Victor's side every step of the way. He never undermines Victor's feelings. He never undermines the moments that Victor is triggered. He leans into them and he tells them, we are going to do this together. I am here with you regardless of what's going on. Tab. You need to hang out with your reincarnated husband, girl, so you can learn a thing or two about being there for your kids. Being there in their moments of fears, their time of need. Because you don't do that. You don't do that at all. Then finally, my final thought, everything points back to season 1 and season 2. I need to watch season 2. Bad. It's the one I remember the least, but it's also the one that I think I'm conflating with season 1. And I need to go watch season 2 again. I need to watch everything that's going on in those ruins underneath the ground when Tabitha dug that damn hole. I think every answer is in season 2 and they're playing with us. And I know there's another season. So obviously, even if this season is alluding to a lot of that, we got a whole other season that really puts the nail in the coffin on what is going on. Is the beginning the end the beginning, right? And this eternal loop that's going on. But I think season 2 is the one that's slipping by us because it's lost in the laws of memory. You got that first law, the very first thing that you've seen, and then you got the law of recency, which is the last thing that we've seen. So we have the first impression with the first season, and we have the last impression with that season 3. It's the thing that's right on our mind. Season 2, we done forgot, babes, and I need to go back. Okay, memory not going to be a monster over here. Now, moving into the questions that needs answers. I rewatched this again before I sat down. So my first question on here is now null and void. So my first question is, why is everyone still keeping secrets? And like I said earlier, I feel like they're starting to share it. I'm like, oh my God, we've been begging for them to share it. But Sophia is here. It changes everything. It changes everything, y'all. It changes everything. And now my question would be, what will they share? And how will they share this for a strategic advantage? Will it just be amongst the key players? Will they bring other people in? I don't know. But right now I'm just like, don't say shit. I feel like Sara. Oh my God. I feel like Sara, where when she was getting haunted out of things, and I feel like Elgin, where it's you just can't say anything. Oh my God, this is terrible. This is terrible, y'all. I feel like I did at the mid-season finale of season 2 of The Walking Dead when the entire barn got run over and it's just like, everybody's gonna die. Everybody's gonna die. I don't even know how we're coming back for another season. Here we are 2 episodes in and I'm just like, your enemy is right here. Everything you learn, she's gonna learn. Damn. My next question. And I kind of asked this a little bit earlier, but what is the significance of this ballerina? I'm going back to season 2. I think the answer is there. Next, is the Lake of Tears something that the monsters need Ethan to find to kick this massacre into full gear? Or is Jim's spirit not contaminated by the place yet and left Ethan with final memories that could help get the answers? So again, I alluded to this earlier, but that is a very clear question for me. And I said this last season and I'm saying it now. Who is Jim in this timeline? Who is he? Nothing in this show is a throwaway. And even though I've been calling for Jim's death since season 1 of episode 1, that's not a throwaway. That's not a throwaway at all. He means something. Again, even if it's a means to an end, what is the journey from the mean to the end? And what does he represent? And then my final question, is Jim alive somewhere else? Or is he here to activate and end the way that Jade's friend activated that 96-day window and the way that this priest has now activated like Jim's death? It's like multiple activations going on here, right? And I would say at the end of this episode ending on Jim is telling us that Jim as a character is more than he seems. What does that mean? I don't know. But what I do know is that this is going to wrap up this episode. Season 4, episode 2 of From, titled Fray. Y'all, we locked in here every Sunday. We're locked in. And if y'all want to stay locked in, again, like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave comments in the comments box below. I reply to every single comment. So you got a question, you got a theory, you disagree, do it respectfully, but leave a comment and we can go back and forth. I love a good volley, you know what I'm saying? You can also follow me on Instagram at So There's That Podcast, where I post about film and TV news and updates. You'll also see links to my publication via Substack, which you can find at www.sothere'sthatpodcast.com. Those are 2 areas where I post reviews and just different posts and one-off articles about other shows and films that are coming out. I will do deeper analysis on shows like From. I just did one about The Talismans, which I will link in the description box. You can also find me on the official Twitter page at Pod. So there's that, where I'm posting other articles. I'm live tweeting, I'm interacting and just posting different trailers and different movies and things that's coming out. Just a way to interact in real time with the fandom. And then you can also find me on my main Twitter page at Kivanchi, where I'm talking about everything. I'm talking about any and everything. I mostly live tweet on my main Twitter page. That's when the cast live tweets every Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific time. But multiple avenues for you to find me, multiple avenues that cater to different parts of this one-woman company that I'm running. So, get into it. Find me, follow me, do all of the things, okay? And with that, I will catch y'all in the next podcast episode.